Society portrays a preference and a definition for normal. But what if normal were relative to personality? Well, that is exactly what the MBTI shares. It's a standard of normal or average behavior for a personality type. Let's look at an example of introversion versus extroversion. If an introverted person enjoys spending a good deal of time alone, we're not really going to be concerned about that. But what if you were to see an extroverted, people-oriented, very adventurous, active kind of personality who suddenly wants to be alone? No longer is that normal. There may be something we want to look at a little bit more deeply. When you look at how we can use MBTI within counseling situations, it is available and greatly enhances our understanding of what is natural, comfortable, and even valued. And that is able to then correlate or to be able to look at the contrast as to what is difficult, uncomfortable, or trivial for each of these 16 personality types. It gives us a foundation to really be able to assess people and to be able to understand what is normal for each of these human behaviors or personality types. When this approach is used, people are more likely to feel appreciated as individuals and characterized as really being legitimized. They're able to see their strengths and their weaknesses. They're less likely also as therapists to make inappropriate diagnosis of any kind of problems. They're also not going to miss out on some of these subtle signs of psychological or emotional disturbances. The MBTI lays a foundation to create a rapport or a trust between a client and a counselor, therapist, or even a psychologist. And that happens because they're able to see a type difference and listen to them. We're able to look at and identify hypotheses and communicate an understanding and even an acceptance of a client because we can say we know basically who they are through their type. We're also able to identify some hypotheses about some characteristics that may not be part of their type, that may need some more evaluation and looking deeper into something. Let's use an example. If a couple were in a marital counseling situation and they have disagreements all the time, you might want to look and see what is their personality type. If you have someone who is more perceiving versus someone who is more on the judging spectrum, we're going to be able to see that maybe part of their problem is one is more spontaneous and is more present oriented, does not like tasks, versus the judger who is very task oriented and wants to have a plan all the time. This would create a lot of disharmony within their relationship. The MBTI also promotes some neutrality. It gives us a neutral standing because we're able to look at a style and behavior of personality before really evaluating somebody within a psychological problem per se. This gives also a common vernacular, a common language. What is most necessary between a counselor and a client than the ability to communicate? We want to look at what is valid and necessary and useful. The MBTI then creates this very positive, even neutral language, and we're able to avoid any kind of accusatory language. I love how the MBTI provides a positive way to describe difficulties that are associated with type differences, and MBTI also stimulates increased energy, optimism, and even cooperation. Clients are also able to gain a new self-worth. And that happens because they no longer look at themselves as being abnormal. We're able to help one another to understand that some of their personality quirks per se may be part of a normal behavior process. Can you imagine if you take a personality type that is not very frequent, such as an INTJ, which may be 2 to 3% of the population, and we say to them, this is the norm and this is what you must fit into? Well, they may not feel that way. They may struggle because what is normal for them is not the way that society perceives. We want to be able to recognize and trust their potential for growth and excellence. The MBTI allows that, and the MBTI gives them a road to discover and to be able to understand and be satisfied through their valuable preferences.